It is important to maintain the quality of the products. This research presentation is based on the assessment of the state of quality in garments applying data mining mechanisms, a case study in the apparel industry. You can cite the full paper in the conference proceedings of 11th International Conference on Business and Information 2020. Quality for the textile industry, that is a measurement concerning the acceptable level of materials. This research is based on a famous garment factory which provide famous brands across the world. And this is a manufacturing plant that produce the products like thongs, briefs, boxers and camisoles. The quality of the final good is measured using the first time through state or the FTT state for the selected top brand. Simply, FTT is a measure of production efficiency, ability, quality and skill. The equation for the FTT percentage indicates it is based on the daily production and the number of reworks per day. The factory capacity is to maintain the FTT as 98% or above as the category of high state. For the low state category, it considered the daily FTT percentage less than the 98%. This is the workflow of the garment factory. It consists of 30 lines, and in a line there are two teams as A and B. For a team there are 12 machine operators with a quality checker. The two teams in a line A and B are separated by a checking board. The dependent variable is the daily FTT state. Independent variables are team, garment type, operation, types of rework or the damage type, number of damages and the daily production. There are 51 types of damages that is listed down in the defect type sign document. Every quality checker in a team maintains a document known as inline rework report. For a particular operation activity in the style, each damage type is marked with a coded letter by the quality checker. At the end of the day, quality checker calculates the FTT state, which is high or low according to the production and the number of damages. The purpose of the study is to build suitable models using data mining methods for the classification problem, then to identify a better perform model to forecast the states of the first time through. Moving on to the significance of the study. This study will add more value to the existing knowledge. Also, the application of data mining techniques rather than relying on the traditional statistical techniques. In the perspective of the garment, we can identify the optimum allocation of a team to a style that is the garment type of the top brand to achieve the highest FTT state. Also to recognize the training requirements of the employees for a low state category. Furthermore, to improve the satisfaction of the customer by improving the state of quality in garments. Past work related to this study is mainly discussed under 5 categories. They are productivity, quality, garment defects, first pass yield, and data mining. Under the quality category, the previous researchers have found at which resources they should maintain the quality, and also they evaluate the quality of the products using bar charts, histograms and different models like analysis of variance regression. To measure the productivity, the previous researchers have applied the root cause analysis, factor fixed and random effects model, simple random sampling and work measurement techniques. To identify the garment defects, mostly the researchers have applied the descriptive analysis, also the generalized linear model and the methodology of Six Sigma of DMAIC. There were no studies related to the first time through. However, a similar idea was illustrated by the first pass year. There were two studies related to this technique, and they have used the DMAIC and descriptive analysis and Pareto analysis and cause and effect diagrams in their methodologies. Moving to the data mining part, the different data mining techniques have applied in the manufacturing. They are probabilistic neural network, artificial neural network, decision trees, and many others. Methodology. Data were collected for the initial 3 months in 2019 from the online rework reports maintained by the quality checkers. Randomly selected 80% of the data was applied for the training and the remaining 20% for the testing. As the initial step, descriptive analysis and cross-tabulations were conducted. Then the association tests. Moving on to the data mining approaches, two techniques were applied. They are classification tree and the probabilistic neural network. Classification tree is a type of decision tree. In here, the best attribute is identified using the top-down induction algorithm. Predict the values of the categorical dependent variable, and in this research, it is the daily FTD state. Gini impurity measure is used to identify how well the classes are separable. The confusion matrix was built to identify the performance measurements. They are FP-rate, TP-rate, accuracy, recall, precision, and F-measure. The class imbalance problem was addressed by the undersampling technique. Probabilistic neural network has the same idea of the classification tree. However, its network architecture is different and it has an input layer, pattern layer, summation layer, and output layer. The confusion matrix is used to identify the performance measurements, and the class imbalance problems was addressed. The findings indicate from the figure 1 that the majority of the data belong to the high state category. That's why we are going to address the problem of class imbalance. Figure 2 indicates the bar chart of the garment types, and it indicates that the thong garment type has the highest count. By the cross-tabulation, the high FTT state indicates that the highest number of damages is from the high-low damage type. For the low FTT state, it's from the measurement out damage type. There were associations between the categorical variables, which are operating activities, garment types, and the damage types. The Pearson correlation coefficient indicates that there is no strong relationship between the variables. In the built classification tree, the root node was the number of reworks, and in the next level, the attribute was the daily production. In later splitting, the attributes, type of damages, garment types, and operation activities were applied. An important factor was that the input variable t was not in the built decision tree. Through the confusion matrix, it indicates that there are 7 and 5 misclassifications, and there are 972 and 216 of correct classifications. However, with the majority of data belongs to the high state category, it indicates the class imbalance problem. With the application of the undersampling technique, the total number of observations have reduced to the 2,321 data points. However, still the root node has the same attribute as the number of damages. In the next level, it is the daily production in the built classification tree. An important factor in here too, the variable team is not in the built tree. The confusion matrix indicated that there are only 11 misclassifications, and there are 210 and 243 correct classifications which are equal. Now it indicates that the class imbalance problem has reduced. The probabilistic neural network model was built adjusting the spread parameter from 0 to 1. In here, the favorable spread parameter was zero point 0.9 by the true positive, true negative, false positive and false negative values. Figure 3 indicates the PNN model. With the application of the undersampling technique, the favorable spread value is 0.8. The figure 4 indicates the probabilistic neural network model after the application of the undersampling technique, and in here for the training set there are 1857 observations. Discussion and recommendation. There were two major defects that were found by the cross-tabulations, and they are high-low and measurement out damages type. There are different reasons for occurring of these damages. Some of them are unbalanced sign, failure in the machines, nature of the fabric, incorrect patterns, and cutting problems. The entire quality is affected due to these damage types, and it is very much important to get the remedies to avoid them in the future. Moving on to the next, there is no effect from the variable team for the daily FTT state. It may due to the variable t may represent all the other independent variables. As the equation of the daily FTT state represents, there is a direct impact from the number of reworks and the daily production for the daily FTT. And it's also confirmed by the nodes of the classification tree. Final results are indicated in this table 6. It indicates the performance measurements of the classification tree and the probabilistic neural network before undersampling and after the undersampling. The favorable performance measurements values are given by the classification tree with the undersampling technique. However, all the results indicated that they have a higher TP rate, precision, recall, accuracy, F-measure, and a lower FP rate. Limitations of the study. The data were not available for all the brands in the factory, and there may be some other factors affecting the daily FTT state. And these FTT state values are depending on the eye inspection of the quality checker. For further improvements, can apply the other data mining techniques and also can consider the extra factors like standard minute value, hourly targets, and daily targets. Finally, the conclusions. The better perform model to predict the state of quality of the garment is the classification tree with the undersampling technique. However, both the models discussed under the undersampling technique, which are classification tree and the PNN, can be used in prediction. Even though the classification tree and the PNN model with the class imbalance problem had a high accuracy, the new data can predict the wrong state of daily FTT.
This is about the factors affecting intimate partner violence against women in Sri Lanka. Intimate partner violence can be described as a behavior by an intimate partner or ex-partner that causes physical, sexual or psychological harm, including physical aggression, psychological abuse and controlling behaviors. Today, intimate partner violence against women has become a global health problem that causes serious consequences for women's physical and mental well-being as well as their reproductive health. World Health Organization reports that globally 1 in 3 women experience physical and or sexual violence by their intimate partner. During the last few decades, the violence against women has been rapidly increased in Sri Lanka as same as in other countries. Sri Lanka Demographic and Health Survey 2016 revealed that in the country, 17% of ever married women aged 15 to 49 have suffered domestic violence by the intimate partner. Further, 2% of ever married women have experienced any form of intimate partner violence daily. So this indicates intimate partner violence against women should be addressed as a serious health problem in the country. Although there are many studies related to intimate partner violence, it has become challenging to reduce partner violence victimization. So it is important to identify what are the risk factors and what are the protective factors of intimate partner violence. Therefore, this study aims to identify the factors affecting intimate partner violence against women in Sri Lanka using the database of Sri Lanka Demographic and Health Survey 2016. So the findings of this study will intend to create the awareness on intimate partner violence and also will help to develop the appropriate strategies to prevent this issue in the future. The first objective of this study was to develop the violence index, which measures the level of intimate partner violence experienced by a woman in Sri Lanka, and then identify the significant factors affecting intimate partner violence against women in the country. Finally, develop the feed-forward neural network to predict the violence index. Data for this study was derived from Sri Lanka Demographic and Health Survey 2016. Total of 2,494 married women aged 15 to 49 who found to be victims of intimate partner violence were selected. The violence index, which was estimated using the multiple correspondence analysis, was defined as the outcome variable. As the independent variables, 21 factors that may be associated with intimate partner violence were considered. Associations between the estimated violence index and each independent variable were measured using Kruskal-Wallis H-test and Mann-Whitney U-test. Gamma regression analysis was carried out to identify the significant factors that affect intimate partner violence. As a machine learning technique, the feed-forward neural network was trained to predict the violence index. The model performance was measured using 3 performance indicators called mean squared error, root mean squared error, and mean absolute error. In this study, the violence index was developed for the 9 types of intimate partner violence reported in the survey. This table includes the percentage of women who experience intimate partner violence according to those 9 types and its frequency. In the preliminary stage, multiple correspondence analysis was performed based on 9 variables and its 45 modalities. Then the first axis alone explained 12.9% of total inertia. Since one variable didn't satisfy the property of composite indicator, we restructured them so as to meet the property. After restructuring, final multiple correspondence analysis was performed based on 9 variables and its 42 modalities. Then the expected power of the first axis rose from 12.9% to 13.2%. Here all variables satisfied the property of first axis ordering consistency for indicator and also the global first axis ordering consistency. Then the violence index was calculated as the average of standardized scores on the first factorial axis, which determined with multiple correspondence analysis. The values of the violence index represents the level of intimate partner violence experienced by an ever married woman aged 15 to 49 in Sri Lanka. The highest value was 10.53, which represents the highest level of intimate partner violence experienced by a woman. The lowest value was 0.03, which represents the lowest level of intimate partner violence experienced by a woman. The violence index was composed of 9 indicators and also it showed a high right skewed distribution. In this study, 21 independent variables were selected based on the literature and available information. It consists of both women's and husband's characteristics and also the characteristics of their relationship and household. Here all variables were categorical variables. After determining the associations between violence index and each variable, 10 variables which have more than 2 categories found as significant from Kruskal-Wallis H-test. From Mann-Whitney U-test, 5 variables which have only 2 categories were identified as the significant variables. So these all 15 significant variables were used for further analysis. Since our response variable, which is violence index, was high right skewed, gamma regression analysis was conducted as the most appropriate regression. Then the model was fitted using randomly selected 80% of the data, and remaining 20% was used for model testing. This table includes the results of parameter estimations. So ANOVA type representations of the fitted gamma regression model can be written as this. Here only 8 variables, which are religion, education level, husband's occupation, age difference, married times, empowerment indicator, enough money for daily expenses, and alcohol consumptions, identified as the significant variables that affect intimate partner violence. Here also includes the results of other parameter estimation. The parameter with p-value less than 0.05 indicates that the coefficients of each parameter significantly differ from their reference group at 5% level of significance. According to the goodness of fit test, the deviance significance value greater than 0.05, and it indicates that the model adequately fits the data. Test performance of the model shows all error measurements having considerably low values. So it implies that the fitted gamma regression model can be used for the predictions of the violence index. After the number of experiments, the optimum feed-forward neural network was found to consist of one hidden layer with 3 neurons, and the output layer consists of 1 neurons which provide the value of violence index. The transfer functions in the hidden layer was fixed as tan sigmoid, and the activation functions was fixed as pure linear. Levenberg-Marquardt algorithm was the best choice of training functions in the maximum epochs of 100. The optimum learning rate was fixed as 0.01. The best validation performance was obtained as 0.7563. The values of 3 error measurements were considerably lower for testing set, and this illustrates that the optimum feed-forward neural network provides a better predictions on the violence index. The comparative performance for the two models is presented in this table. According to this table, the values of all performance indicators are lower for the feed-forward neural network than the gamma regression model. So this concludes that the feed-forward neural network can be considered as a better model to predict the violence index in Sri Lanka. If we discuss about the key findings of this study, religion was identified as one of the factors that affect intimate partner violence. It found that the group of women who followed any other religion except Buddhism, Hindu, Islam and Catholic decreases the level of intimate partner violence compared to the group of Buddhism. Similar to previous studies, we identified women's education level has negative significant association with intimate partner violence. It found that reaching the higher education level lead to decrease the experience of intimate partner violence. As a husband's characteristic, husband occupation was identified as a significant variable of intimate partner violence. When husband been unemployed, it is significantly associated with increase of intimate partner violence compared to the group of women whose husbands work in government sector. Further, when age gap between husband and wife belongs to range from 5 years to 10 years, decreases the level of intimate partner violence experienced by wife compared to same age group. Further, we found that when women have been married more than one time, it increases the level of intimate partner violence compared to the group of women who have married once. Here we considered women's empowerment indicator, which implies women participation in making household decisions. We found that it has a negative significant association with intimate partner violence. When increasing the woman's participation in making household decisions, it leads to decrease the experience of intimate partner violence. As the factor regarding economic environment or economic background, we consider the money for daily household expenses. When the money for daily household expenses in house is not enough, it leads to a decrease in the intimate partner violence compared to the group who have enough money for daily expenses. Further, we considered the alcohol consumption by any member in the house instead of only husband. So the findings confirmed that the household alcohol consumption is positively associated with intimate partner violence. However, in this study, we have to consider the limited factors of intimate partner violence because we use the existing database. As the future studies, we suggest to develop the estimated violence index to classify the population based on the level of violence experienced by women, such as low level and high level, using a specific technique. Through this study, we recommend raising the public awareness on risk and protective factors of intimate partner violence by implementing national and health program, and also the development of the current policies to prevent intimate partner violence against women in Sri Lanka. Then this will lead to create a safer environment in the house as well as in the society for all women and girls.
Hi everyone, I am Shalini. My supervisors are Dr. UP Liyanage and Dr. RMCS Ratnayaka. My undergraduate research topic is identification factors on productivity and phenological synchronization of plant mononcopioids. Introduction. Mononcopioids belongs to the species of plant in the Annonacea family. In Sinhala, it is called Omara. Mononcopioids is a forest plant growing in tropical intermediate forest and pollinated by a native species of beetle in Sri Lanka. So the survival of mononcopioids is very important for the long-time survival of beetles. The other important thing is to use mononcopioids to obtain wood because the stem of the plant is straight. Problem statement. Mononcopioids are pollinated by a species of a beetle endemic to Sri Lanka. So the long time survival of both mononcopioids and beetle is important. It is also important to accurately identify the behavior, characteristics and timing of plant phenomena in order to manage and protect the plant. The problem here is the inability to take conservation and management measures of either pollinator or the plant due to lack of studies. Objectives of study. The main purpose of this study to analyze and forecast phenological parameters such as flower buds, open flowers, leaf flushing, leaf dropping, immature fruits and mature fruits of mononcopioids. The other objectives are to study phenological changes of the mononcopioids with climate changes, to investigate annual variation in phenological patterns of mononcopioids, to identify the phenology of the leaves, flowers, fruits of mononcopioids and its specialties, to determine the relationships between the phenology at a population level and individual behaviors. The significance of the study. This study is a pure science study. Pure science is the study of a natural phenomena, also known as natural science or fundamental science. This is mainly done to understand the patterns of the trees in the natural forest. The understanding thus gained will be one of the foundations for forest management and wildlife conservation. So it is important for the protection of animal diversity and biodiversity. This is also important for sustainable ecosystem management in the intermediate zone forest in Sri Lanka. There are only few kinds of research for mononcopioids. The data collecting method. This data was collected based on a plant called Moonun coffeoids in the Manikdena Archaeological Forest Reserve. Manikdena Forest Reserve is located in an isolated mountainous area in the Mathare district of the central province of Sri Lanka. The 50 trees from the Moonun coffeoids plant were selected, labeled, and data collected weekly from January 2002 to January 2005. The literature review. In this table shows some research papers, their purpose, and what I got out of it. Many kinds of research have described the phenology of different kinds of plant, but there are only a few studies on Moonun coffeoids. Several algorithms have been proposed for clustering in the literature. Because of its simplicity, the k-means clustering algorithm is the most widely used. Self-organizing map is a powerful method for clustering and visualization of multidimensional data. Many researchers have identified the time periods during which the flowers, fruits, and leaves of different kinds of plants appear, but no any research for the Moonun coffees. The methodology. The data collected the collected data were analyzed using clustering, self-organizing map, time series analysis. K-means clustering. K-means clustering is aimed to partition n observations into k clusters in which each observation belongs to the cluster with the nearest mean, serving as a prototype of the cluster. Elbow method, average, silhouette method, and gap statistic method are used to determine the optimal number of clusters in a dataset. The term cluster validation is used to design the procedure of evaluating the goodness of clustering algorithm results. So, self-organizing map, in a way similar to the self-learning process of the human brain, a neural network can be designed for unsupervised learning. Self-organizing feature maps learn to classify input vectors according to how they are grouped in the input space. Time series analysis. Univariate time series consists of a sequence of measurements of the same variable recorded over equal time increment. A time series considered to be stationary if the sample mean and sample variance and autocorrelation are not different over time period. Unit root tests are used to identify whether the time series is exactly stationary or non-stationary. There are KPSS test, ADF test, and PP test. The method time series models are AR, MA, ARMA, and etc. The method that we use to choose a proper statistical model among a set of competing models is called model selection criteria. Akaka information criteria used for model selection criteria, and the model with minimum AIC is considered the best model. The residuals are evaluated to check whether there is heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation, and normality. A model for describing the variance of a time series in Arch and Gauge models. In the best fitted model, all the coefficients should be significant. If there are probability values of the given coefficients less than the confidence interval, it can be concluded that the model coefficients are significant. And root mean squared error, mean absolute percentage error, and mean absolute error were used as the model accuracy criteria. Considering phenological parameters are leaf drops, leaf flushing, flower buds, open flowers, immature fruits, and mature fruits. The data cleaning process. The data cleaning process was carried out, and there are a few missing values. Missing values were imputed using linear interpolation methods. This shows box plot for all 6 phenological parameters. Association test. Pearson correlation coefficients are used to measure the strength and direction of a linear relationship between two numerical variables in the study. So this above correlogram shows the correlation between phenological parameters. All the correlations between phenological parameters are positive except flushing and leaf drops. In this correlogram shows the correlation between the error term in the phenological parameters, k-means clustering. Here the cluster analysis was done considering all the 6 phenological parameters of moon and coffeoids using k-means clustering. First of all, we determine the optimum number of clusters. Here we use elbow method, silhouette method and gap statistic method. According to the 3 figures, the optimum number of cluster is 2. And this shows how the 50 trees are clustered. And cluster validation in here shows cluster silhouette plot and average silhouette width of each clusters. A silhouette width of approximately 1 and done index should be maximized, mean that the observation is well clustered. A silhouette width close to 0 means that the observation lie between two clusters. So in here we can conclude that the observations are not well clustered. These are the summary of the clustering analysis. This table shows the average silhouette width for each clusters and done index. Self-organizing map. Here the self-organizing map is done considering all the 6 phenological parameters. Self-organizing map topology of 40 neurons positioned in an 2x7 hexagonal grid. Each neuron has learned to represent a different class of tree with the adjacent neuron typically representing similar classes. So self-organizing neighbor distance shows how distant each neuron's class is from its neighbors. Connection which are bright indicate highly connected area of the input. And self-organizing map input plane shows a weight plane for each of the 6 input features. These are the summary of the self-organizing map. The time series analysis. Cross correlation helpful for identifying lags of the x variables. According to the first figure shows maximum value at h equal -2. So we can say that flower buds are lead to open flowers about 2 weeks later. So model fitting and forecasting. Here consider only open flowers. Time series plot of weekly open flowers appears to be stationary as there are no seasonal patterns and trends. So here we use the unit root test. So we can say open flowers are stationary at 5% level of significance. And the model with minimum AIC value was selected as the good model among the several possible models. Among the candidate models, ARMA23 was a good model with minimum AIC value and the model fitted the open flowers. So after that we check the model adequacy. In the fitted model, the normality assumption is violated and the residuals are not homozygosity at 5% level of significance. So it indicates the presence of the arch effect in the residuals. If we go to fit the arch model. Least AIC was in the GARCH 1.1 model, hence ARMA23 model is suitable for error variance. It implies GARCH 1.1 model can be used in the modeling the errors. Again check the model adequacy. The residuals of the model has a constant variance, are not normally distributed and are independent. The fitted model can be used in the forecasting. So this figure shows the pattern of actual fitted and residual value for the training data set, and another figure shows the actual versus fitted values of the weekly open flowers for testing dataset. So these are the summary of the all time series analysis for all phenological parameters and climatic factors. The discussion: most trees have flower buds and immature fruits from March to May and April to May. Generally, most of the trees have 0.1 to 1.9% flower buds and open flowers. All the relationships are weakly positive, but only leaf drops and leaf flushing are weakly negative. And cluster analysis identify groups with the similar behaviors. The best clustering is when the flower buds and open flowers are clustered together. So the behavior of all the trees seems to be the same. Then adequacy of the models was checked and residual were independent, had a constant variance, but the residual were not normally distributed in the model. Then all the model was used for the forecasting of the 6 phenological parameters of moon coffeoids and climatic factors with the 29 observations. The limitations of the study: here only average temperature and rainfall were considered as a climatic factor. In addition, data were collected only for 3 years, but there is maybe more other biotic factor that affect the phenological patterns. Their impact on the phenological patterns cannot be identified directly, and those impact on phenological patterns of the moon coffeoids might not be predictable. So suggestions for future works: if the study could be done to topographical features and other climatic factors with an additional long time period, it would provide many precise results on this study. Univariate time series model were used in this study. The conclusion: the delay between flower buds and open flowers 2 weeks, leaf flushing and mature fruits in 17 weeks, etc. It was identified that the flowering and fruiting period are from January to May and from March to August respectively. Generally, the behavior of all the trees seems to be the same. Therefore, it can be determined that the behavior of moon coffeoid does not change according to the location of the upper or lower elevation.